I met Richard Cumbers less than a year ago at a conference in Spain. That was a very rewarding encounter. We hit it off very well to begin with, and we had a great deal of enjoyment out of sharing our experiences in many years of involvement in what used to be called alternative medicine, now is called complementary medicine, and then under that name come all sorts of other names such as energy medicine, homeopathy, chiropractic and so on. You'll be more familiar with many of these names than perhaps I am, being a little out of date in these matters. Richard has asked me to tell you a little bit about myself and to give you an idea of how I think of energy medicine, the concept of energy medicine. I will tell you a little bit about myself, but only if you promise me one thing, that you will not take anything that I tell you about myself as giving authority to anything I tell you. Because the only authority I'm interested in for you is your authority, the authority you take over the knowledge that you acquire and that you get. So I'm just here, I've had a certain range of experience and I'll tell you a bit about that, but I'm just here as one human being talking to another, perhaps to more than one other at the same time, and sharing my experience with you. I taught in a department of philosophy in a university in Melbourne, Australia, La Trobe University, for some 28 years. I'm also a concert artist on the violin, viola, piano. I'm a conductor, composer, and I also, for some years of my life, played the didgeridoo, the instrument of the Australian Aboriginal. I taught a course in philosophy of medicine at La Trobe University for approximately 20 years. That course was devoted to looking at alternative medical practices. In particular, I had a focus on Chinese medicine, in which I was trained, and Aboriginal medicine. And I had the privilege much further down the track of being actually adopted as a medicine man in an Aboriginal tribe in Australia, the tribe of the Wiradjuri people. But this little sketch here at the moment is about energy medicine and the concept thereof. I said to Richard when he asked me to do this, I said, well look, you're speaking to a philosopher who, given a question like that, would conduct a whole seminar of courses and lectures on the subject. And the reason I could do that is that in the field, in the air, in the press, and from every direction comes this word energy medicine, and it's used in such a huge variety of different ways for different purposes. Some people see energy medicine as the forefront of everything, and others, in advance of orthodox medicine, for example, others see their work in, say, quantum healing as further in advance of energy medicine and want to push energy medicine way back. I think all of these divisions are artificial, although they may sometimes serve to get an important point across that each individual in their own way wants to get across. So I don't think we should get too upset about apparent contradictions between the way this person uses the word energy medicine and that person uses it. That shouldn't worry us too much, so long as we understand why that person is using it that way and what they're trying to convey by using it that way. However, I'll suggest to you a rather simple beginning for understanding why there is a movement of thought in medical thinking away from some traditional model and towards a new model. I think when we come to examine that division, we'll find that they're not really separate, that when we finally start to talk about energy medicine, you'll realise that elements of that were already strongly present in the one we're trying to oppose ourselves to, but we sometimes need these oppositions just to start to get clear about what we actually think. So I want to put this to you. that consider Einstein's famous equation E equals mc squared, which I believe almost nobody actually understands, but everybody knows. And if we forget the c squared part of it, which is just a constant anyway, it's just a number relating to the speed of light, but the reference to light is really irrelevant. What the equation is telling us is that energy is the same thing as mass. Now, in the models, at the back of all these differences in conception of what energy medicine might be is, I think, something like this. The idea that orthodox medicine has been concerned with the M side of the equation, the mass side, and energy medicine is trying to concern itself and focus on the energy side. Now, of course, if we look at what we call orthodox medical practice, we'll find that there are uses, for example, of electrical currents, which would be regarded as a form of energy and not mass. They're used, for example, in the defibrillator when people have had a cardiac arrest and the defibrillator is put on their chest to bring them back to life again. This is the use of energy, electrical energy, in orthodox medicine. But the aspect of orthodox medicine that has come to attention in recent years is its focus on the use of chemicals as the answer to dealing with human medical problems. I guess the clearest archetype of this within medicine is what is called orthomolecular medicine, established, I believe, by Dr. Linus Pauling, a Nobel Prize winner many years ago. The principle of orthomolecular medicine is that good health consists of the right molecule in the right place at the right time. Now notice the basis of this conception is the molecule. In other words, a material thing. Of course, many of us know now that in quantum mechanics, the molecule is no longer looking so material, it's looking more like forms and packets of energy and so on. But anyway, we'll just stick with Pauling's concept at the moment in order to try and reveal what is really at issue over this shift, this feeling that we're shifting to a new paradigm, something new, very hard to articulate exactly what it is that is new about it. But the next thing I put to you is this. The first one was looking at Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared, and suggesting that the new paradigm is wanting to look on the E side of things, the old paradigm looks on the M side of things. A very simple way of looking at it, an oversimple way, but maybe quite useful. The next stage in forming the modern conception of energy medicine is looking at the conception that arose in quantum mechanics due to the concept of the wave-particle duality of matter. Now, on the M side of Einstein's equation, we generally thought that if there was a wave in anything at all, it had to be created inside a substance. That is, you have to have water to have waves in a water. You can't just have a sea which is waves but no water. The water is the thing that creates the waves. And certainly in the conceptions of physics and chemistry that I grew up with 60 years ago or so, that was how it was. You could not imagine a wave existing without a material substratum, something on the M side of Einstein's equation. But with the advent of quantum mechanics, which had of course happened a bit earlier than 60 years ago, but I wasn't aware of it 60 years ago, quantum mechanics, the idea came forward that waves can exist on their own, as it were. And in fact, nowadays there are many people who think that waves create particles. In other words, that energy creates substance.